Welcome to this edition of Talk with TAS Live. Readiness and preparation. Readiness and preparation often go hand in hand. Readiness is the quality of being able or willing to do something. For example, dancers train all year long for their dance recital. The dancer's readiness for the recital has to do with how he or she has practiced the movements, as well as if they warmed up before their dance performance. The dancer's readiness is demonstrated by their body's execution of the movements and their mental state. While preparedness is the process or actions that are put in place to address a concern. For example, we just had some significant storms move across the state of North Carolina, causing schools to close and then some to open on a delayed schedule. Our emergency management personnel prepared for the impending storm damage. These individuals are professionals and respond based on the set of actions that have already been developed to prepare or respond to natural disasters. Likewise, God has to prepare each of us for our purpose in life. How long does this process take? Longer than we wish. Let's consider Moses. Prior to Moses' birth, the law had been passed that all Jewish boys born at birth were to be killed. This would have wiped out the Hebrews, but the midwives disobeyed Pharaoh, and as a result, Moses was saved. His mother places him in a basket and puts the basket on the Nile River. The basket goes down the Nile and winds up in a basin or a pool where the princess of Egypt is about to do some rituals. As a result, her maternal instincts kicked in and she took Moses in as her own, adopting him. His biological mother was hired to raise him. Egypt at that time was a very advanced civilization. They had engineering, mathematics, and astronomy. Because of their knowledge of astronomy, they were able to create one of the first effective calendars. Also, through engineering and mathematical knowledge and skills, they were able to create the pyramids, which we know still stand today. Their priests were also performing embalming of their corpse. The Egyptians were at that time very advanced. So Moses grew up in an environment that allowed him for 40 years to learn what it took to run Egypt, what made Egypt actually tick. So he had the inside track. Now, we're talking about preparation. So he knew how to work Egypt. Moses also knew he was a Hebrew and not an Egyptian. And eventually, he decided that he was going to help his people. He decided, not that God told him to do it, but he decided that he was going to help his people. After taking that stand, he tried to help the Jewish people, or the Hebrews, but he found out that they didn't even get along amongst themselves. And so he was unable to help them at that time. Well, he eventually had to flee for his life, because by him trying to help the Jewish people, the children of Israel, then he now was outed to everybody. They knew he was a Hebrew. So he fled for his life. And so he went out into the wilderness or the desert. And he was there for 40 years. But during that time, when you fast forward, we find that Moses has taken a wife. He's raising children. And he's got a new job. So his new job is he's a shepherd. And he is having to shepherd hundreds or thousands of sheep. And you know, sheep like to wander off. There's always one or two that want to do things their way. And so, you know, he's feeling like he's a failure. But what he didn't understand at the time was that God was preparing him to be the ultimate shepherd. For he would lead God's chosen people, his chosen flock, out of bondage in Egypt. And so the preparation of dealing with the human sheep, the animal sheep, was preparation for dealing with the human sheep, that flock that God was going to call him to lead out of Egypt. So after 40 years, Moses was ready. He was ready now to do what God had purposed for his life. We all have life goals, and they often seem unattainable only because we strive for them and it seems like we're not making any progress at all. Out of frustration, we sometimes doubt our qualifications, just as Moses did, because we don't understand the why of what is happening. We don't feel that we're qualified. We don't feel that we can talk. I don't know as much as someone else. I'm not an eloquent speaker. The whys are so important to us, but we don't understand them as we go through them. Why we have to work in this particular company? Why do we have this job? Why we work with these type of people? Why was I born into this family? The list is endless, but the answer is simple. God has a reason for every aspect of your life and why it unfolds the way that it does. It is your time for preparation and to increase your readiness for future use. It is during these times that we should thank God for the lessons he is teaching us and how our life has improved despite the challenges encountered. God knows when we are ready, and that is when he sends us forth and not before. The preparation process is labor intense. Moses' life illustrated how readiness and preparation go hand in hand. The key is to make sure you are prepared before you act. Please share your thoughts about readiness versus preparation in the comment section. As always, this has been Talk with TAS Live, and my sound off is make sure you take care of you. Bye now.